jacksonville.dalecarnegie.com. Just type it in there, Jacksonville with a period, .dalecarnegie.com. And get all the information, find a class, go ahead and register. We have people registering in both areas as we speak. I'd love to have you join us and see what some of the enthusiasm, make a change in your life. It's absolutely one of those things. I had a conversation, a Zoom call yesterday with the CEO, Mr. Joe Hart of Dale Carnegie and Associates. And every time I talk to Joe, it's like, you think you're here, he can take you here. You think you're here, he'll take you here. Just absolute energy, and that's what I love being around Dale Carnegie. So let's talk to our guest today, Miss Sherry Houston of the Ronald McDonald House, the CEO of the Ronald McDonald House, which last week Ed Potts corrected me. I'd called you the executive director, and he said, no, she is now the CEO, and he is on your board of directors. So welcome to MotivationU, the podcast.
It's thrilling to be here. Thank you so much, Bob.
This podcast, as we were talking off air, is about leadership. And the fact that some of the best leaders that we may know might be running the Dollar General or the Wawa down the street, making an impact on people's lives. And that's really what I see leadership as. So, I mean, you have a very prestigious role in this community with what you do with Ronald McDonald House. I want to know how you got there and how you formulated your leadership style and technique.
So it truly has taken a village to make me whole. And there are so many people that have made such a difference in my life. I was born in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And being a Pennsylvanian, I tell everyone all good things happen in Pennsylvania. I really am. I was born in Bethlehem. I went to school in Lancaster and graduate school in Pittsburgh. So I have a strong work ethic. I am very honest, sometimes to a fault. I talk very fast, so it's really hard for me not to talk as fast as I really want to, but no one would understand what I say because I talk so fast normally. And I think that's a very northern kind of thing. My husband and I moved down to Florida 36 years ago, and our lives changed just for the better. I have been in so many different positions in this community, and I've found my home at the Ronald McDonald House.
So let's go back to, Ed and I talked about this last week. Midwest values versus Southern hospitality. How do these monikers, are they real, or are they just things we like to say to brand people?
I think living in the South has made me a kinder person. It has also helped me slow down a little bit, not my speech, but I think the way I interact with people. It really is Southern hospitality. And we take that into account at the Ronald McDonald House every single day.
Yeah, I remember, and I might have mentioned this to Ed last week, but I remember when I came down here, we bought a radio station, Wind FM. Mm-hmm. That was, it was Wind FM. We created Wind FM, put it on the air in 1995. And I can still see myself walking through the bank, our banker that we had hired, and Tom Dewey, I think was his name, but his associate was walking me through the bank, and I was going at my pace. And she said, "We will slow you down." And I said, "I don't think so." And I don't know if I have. I think there is part of that, but I married a Valdosta lady, a Valdosta nurse, and it's different. It is different. Their family, the way they look at things. I look at my family, even though we live in the South now, we came from the North. We know each other are there. We don't have to be with each other all the time. We think about each other all the time. Yet in the South, it seems like we want to be together all the time, which I really enjoy that too.
Well, you bring up 2 points. One is I married a guy from Pittsburgh. And so Pittsburgh is a very tightly knit community. But up north, there is that feeling of electricity. Like things just move, and they just move so fast. And I think it's talking, it's emotion, everything is moving at the speed of sound. And down here, I think what has made me successful in my career is being able to meet people where they are on their journey. And each one of those people I have met, whether I started as I was in city planning, which is a very eclectic way to get to the Ronald McDonald House, very eclectic. But every person I met at the Regional Planning Council, and moving to St. Francis Catholic High School as the development director, then going to Meridian Behavioral Health Care as our senior vice president for advancement, and now finding my home at the Ronald McDonald House. Each one of those, the people, the experiences have made me complete. And I think in the South, and especially in Gainesville, we know people who know each other. I mean, what are the chances you would have Ed Potts on this podcast last week, and now you had me, and you didn't even know. Did you know we were connected? Ed and I were connected?
Not at that time. Yep.
Exactly. So, and I think that's what makes people so it's a humbling experience, but also you will never misbehave in Gainesville, Florida, because everyone knows what you do, because we're all somehow interrelated and know people that care very much about each of us.
So my dad was born in Pittsburgh.
Oh my gosh! How cool is that?
But he left before his first birthday. My grandfather, most of the family, the majority of the entire family stayed in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And they built around that. My grandfather's sister was a nun at the big church in downtown Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So, that's where her funeral was. I remember going back to the funeral when I was a little kid. But yeah, my grandfather moved the family to Detroit, and that's where we grew up. But similar, values and thought processes. Detroit industrial and Pittsburgh industrial with steel and Bethlehem.
Bethlehem steel, exactly.
Incredible. So that's that life. What brought you to the South? What made you think like we need to leave Pennsylvania and move to Florida?
Well, my husband finished up his graduate degree at Wharton School of Business, and we moved to, I then married him, and we moved outside of Philadelphia at that time, and he worked for the Federal Reserve Bank, and he always wanted to get into academia, and I was a Main Street manager in a small community. And that year, it must have snowed more than 17 feet in Philadelphia. And I said to Joel, oh my God, let's leave and go somewhere else where there's no snow. And we were just married for a little over a year. And Joel was offered a position at the University of Florida. And I remember so clearly, so this is back in 1983. So there were 1987. There were no cell phones at that time. And we got a phone call from the University of Florida to offer Joel a job. Joel was stuck on the train coming home from downtown Philadelphia. And I said, oh, my husband will take the job. They said, you can't say that. I said, oh, no, he can't come home because he is on a train. Everyone thought that was funny. It's gone down in history in the finance department at the University of Florida. So I took my husband's job and said, yeah, he'll take it.
You accepted the job.
I accepted the job. So he has continued to be at the University of Florida in the College of Business.
That is great. So he's been there his whole basically career.
He has. Mm-hmm. I'm the person that has found my way.
Around
different
areas. Let's go to the Ronald McDonald House for a second. How many people on the board of directors of that?
I have 24 dazzling bosses.
So that's a remarkable thing. To be named to the board of directors of the Ronald McDonald House, usually the individuals have climbed in their industry to a certain place.
Yes, that is true.
What do you see in the differences of those leadership styles? I won't ask you to name anybody. I don't want you to do that. But what do you see? Because your role is to interface with those individuals. And like you said, you work for them. They are the board, you work for them. And you have your leadership style. But now you have 24 people with probably 24 different leadership styles. What is the interaction like in that world?
It is very vibrant, very exciting, and we have a lot of fun. And I think that's what keeps that group together. We invite people to serve on the board. They go through an incredible vetting process. And we want to make sure that the people serving on our board of directors at the Ronald McDonald House understand what our mission is and how important it is that we keep families close to their seriously ill child. Most people think that McDonald's supports our organization 100%. We have a great partnership. However, we were never built on the premise that McDonald's was going to support us and fund our entire operation. So our board is a very intricate fundraising board, and they bring their entourages and their gifts and their talents and their friends to the table to truly make our house a home for families who are coming from all over the world to receive world-class treatment at our children's hospital.
What, the board meetings, what are they like when you have 24 egos, 24 leadership styles, and you're trying to accomplish things? What are some of the elements that you see that people could learn from that, you know, if they were able to sit in that room and see these 24 leaders of our community here working together, what are some of those threads that you see that are similar, and how do they manage the differences?
We do all our work in committee. So we have an executive committee, development committee, the nominating committee, personnel, also I'm probably missing a committee, finance, and strategic planning. And those meetings are very vibrant. They are filled with lots of give and take, and then they formulate those recommendations that will then go to the board. We have a very strong board portal with lots of documents for our board to review. So when they sit down at a meeting, our meetings last no more than 50 to 60 minutes. And a lot of that is, you look at it ahead of time, you can call me as the CEO and ask me questions, but they are very tightly run meetings. And that I have to thank my board chair and all of my board chairs who really know how to run a meeting, to listen to people, but also nip in the bud. If something is looking like it's starting to spiral and they don't agree with the recommendation that's coming out of that committee, it'll go back to committee and be reviewed again and then brought back to the board.
That's interesting. So there is a lot of that dynamics that takes place, and they are able to take what has built them to the success in their company, their industry, and share that with each other. Must be interesting to watch the how they manage the egos, because it's very lonely at the top, as you know. It's very
lovely.
It's very lonely. In all of our programs, we have the triangle of development that we talk about in the Dale Carnegie class, where you start with a foundation and building cooperation and then leadership. And that tip of that triangle, that leadership, I always point the cursor there, and I let people know that a lot of us want to be at that spot. It's a lonely place. It's a lonely place.
Yes, and there's two things that remind me of something to share. So the first thing is that having a fabulous chair of my board has always made me a better CEO. And I have had people that have pushed me. One of my board chairs I call him, he kind of like my personal trainer. He would make me jump on that box and I would skin my knee, but you know what? In the end, those scars made me stronger and made me a better leader. And each one of my board chairs brings their talents to the table. And when I think about my board chair, we are flying a plane and they are my co-pilot. They know every thought going through my head. There aren't many at one time, but I talk really fast, so there's a lot of them. But we're flying this plane together, and we have all of these board members who are in seats in that plane for a specific reason. And we are going in the same direction. We're working together. And so to be in sync with your chair of your board, I think is exceptionally, exceptionally important. Because when I don't agree with my board chair or they don't agree with me, usually I just feel so out of kilter. And it makes us a stronger board when we're working together on the same mission and moving an organization forward. The other thing I think about in a triangle is it is lonely at the top, But I like to invert that triangle, and so I think about what I do as a CEO, and I'm actually at the bottom of the triangle. And it's everyone, it's my team that is the next rung, and it's my stakeholders, our donors, and at the top is every single family that we serve. Because every decision that is made from our team is made as what is in the best interest of the families who are coming to our house. And remember, our families are from all over the world. Mm-hmm. The number one diagnosis of a family who comes to us is a family waiting for a heart. So Bob, think about this. Families have to have a child die to get a heart in their child. Mm-hmm. And so the emotions that are going through our families at any one time they're roller coasters, and they are so extreme. We have a young man who's 14 years old. His mom and dad and grandparents have been with us since February of this year. That young man was passed over twice for a heart. One time the heart wasn't a match. The second time he spiked a fever. He finally received that heart. But can you imagine, you think your child or your grandchild's going to get a heart, and then something that is out of your control happens, and you don't know if there's going to be another match. The second diagnosis of a family who comes to us is a family who's had a preemie baby. So whether it's a single baby, but we have lots of multiple birth babies. When I first arrived at Ronald McDonald House, the end of 2014, we had a family. Mom had 4 babies. Holy cow. Can you imagine having 4 children? Well, I guess you can't, but I can't even imagine having 4 children at one time. And they have, and those babies were a little over 2 pounds apiece. And those babies went home over 4 pounds apiece, and mom and dad and those 4 children will come back and visit us at the Ronald McDonald House.
Wow,
it is
incredible.
So exciting. Yep. They run around the house. We bake them cookies. Mom and dad share that we stayed in this room over here, and this is the seat that we were able to sit in and be with other families at the Ronald McDonald House. But this is a funny story, but I have pictures of some of our families in my office. And so one of the little girls, which is part of the quadruplet group, came in my office for something, and she goes, "You have a picture of me." I said, "I do." I said, "You're very important in my life." And I said, "Do you have a picture of me?" She goes, "I don't even know who you are." I said, "So you have no picture of me. Do you want a picture of me?" She goes, "No, not really." She goes, "But you can keep that picture of me in your office." Oh my goodness, it was the cutest little thing. And at that time, they were 4 years old.
That's amazing. We're talking leadership with Sherry Houston, the CEO of the Ronald McDonald House here in Alachua County, and kind of finding out what's going on at the Ronald McDonald House and life in that part of the world. You worked in different industries also as you came up through the world. What did you see as leadership in the different areas that you worked? And I mean, there was nonprofits and there was for-profits. Any difference that you see in people's leadership style in that area, or did you have to adapt a different style?
I adopted and adapted, especially up north. It's tough, and I'm not a young person. So now, when I first got out of graduate school, I was thrown to a group of people who most of them were men in city planning. And I worked with architects and contractors and engineers and held my own and did what was right for those small communities that we were revitalizing. And then moving down to the South was a whole different culture. I mean, I birthed both of my children working up to the day my children were born. And so sometimes people didn't look me in the eye, they looked at my belly. It's like, "Excuse me, like my eyes are here." I would joke about that, but it's a very different culture. And it was fun proving myself and learning from each one of them and taking bits and pieces of their leadership style to create what I would like to think I have is a very authentic leadership style. My team will tell you if I'm walking into the Ronald McDonald House, they know if I'm happy, if something has happened on the phone on the way in. I'm pretty much a transparent and open book. But I think life is too short not to be who you are and who you are all the time.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. So, like if something negative happens and you walk in Do you bring your team down?
Oh, no. I'm always positive.
Okay.
I will find the glass is always bubbling over with something, and my word is dazzle, and it is always bubbling over with something that is dazzling, and we will always find something positive in everything.
My son, many years ago in the radio business, came to work for me, which he had never worked for me, and he was working inside the radio station for a short period of time, and he was living in my house. He was probably in his mid to late 20s at the time, and we one night he just came home and he said, "Dad, you intimidate people at work." I'm like, "Me intimidate people?" He goes, "Well, you haven't been smiling lately." And that was a wake up call to me. That was really a wake up call of how you have 30, 40 people working for you. The way you walk around the building has a lot to do with that. And I had what was on my face wasn't what was in my head or in my heart. I was just probably being a little bit more pensive, or really thinking about things that were going on. But that reflection is so important, and it's
Well, it's important to be positive. I think the other thing is when you're interacting with families who are going through so very much, is to make sure the team is working together and you're there to support one another, because families are going through such emotional roller coasters themselves.
Yeah. What is the thread between all of the Ronald McDonald houses, if there is one? So Jacksonville, Gainesville, Tallahassee. What is the thread that kind of goes amongst them?
So we are all licensed by Ronald McDonald House Charities, and the charity is based in Oak Brook, Illinois. We're our own separate 501c3s. So when you give to the Gainesville Ronald McDonald House, all that money stays at our house and is incorporated into our family room at our children's hospital. So we, in the state of Florida, there is a house in Jacksonville. I'm really impressed you knew half this. Most people don't know that much. Jacksonville, Gainesville, Tallahassee, Pensacola. There are 4 houses in Tampa, 3 in Orlando, 1 in Fort Myers, and 1 in Miami. And we work incredibly closely together. We get together, share evidence-based practices. You don't need to reinvent the wheel at the Ronald McDonald House. Mm-hmm. And that's a nice thing about being part of an international organization. My husband and I and our kids many years ago went to Paris. And there's a house in Paris. There's a house in London. And to see what they do and how they do it, we're governed, my board of directors determines the policies of how we are going to push out and implement and serve families. So at our house, we serve families who have a baby in utero all the way up to the age of 21 years old. Few houses serve babies in utero because mom is healthy, baby is the patient, and that baby isn't obviously in the world yet. But our babies in utero are babies waiting for a heart or have some type of heart defect. So they've had some type of surgeries before mom even delivers them, and then they're able to go to the hospital, deliver that baby, come back to us, mom does, and that baby goes into emergency surgery. No surprise, the outcomes are so much better than if that baby was born in Jacksonville and then was life-flighted over to our hospital. That time could make a difference between that baby surviving and not surviving.
So does the house shadow the specialty of the hospital in that area? So what would, Jacksonville's got so many hospitals,
Proton.
So which one is a...
Proton therapy
Okay.
is what they're
Okay.
mostly known for. I would say we're mostly known for the fabulous outcomes in congenital heart.
Okay.
For over 50% of our families have children who have some type of heart defect or are waiting for a heart.
That's amazing. We were... Back in 2006, we interfaced with the Atlanta Ronald McDonald
Yes.
House. My at the time 9-year-old stepson was injured in a bad accident.
Oh.
We had just been married. We were married in early July, and this happened in late July. We were married late June. This happened in late July, and he almost lost his arm, almost lost his life, and so. Here we were, Dad and his wife, Mom and her husband, me, and, young man was taken to Atlanta from Valdosta, 3 hours away, We didn't know where to stay, so we went to the Ronald McDonald house. We actually got one room. Every couple of nights, his dad and his wife would stay in the room with him, and we would stay at the Ronald McDonald house. Then we'd switch roles, where we would go stay in the room with him, and they would come back and get some sleep at the Ronald McDonald house. So we had it was almost a month that we were interfaced with the Ronald McDonald house, but it was amazing to me, the way they treated us, and it was, what a blessing, How do they keep up the decor? I mean, how often, like, you're moving into a new house?
Oh, yes, we are. Oh, my goodness.
and I don't want to get into that until after the break. We'll talk about the new house and what's happening here. But how do they keep up with the changes in the decor and the different families that come and go? And what is the average time that a family stays with you?
Average length of stay is over 90 days. Hart families stay with us for as long as sometimes a year. The longest family in our 41 years operating as a Ronald McDonald house is 18 months. So think about that, Bob.
A year and a half. Could
you have a job if you were away from your position for 18 months? No. Mm-mm. So bad things happen to good people who never anticipated having a child who was seriously ill, and they have to put their lives on hold. What breaks my heart more is the child in the hospital is going through so much, and mom and dad and grandparents are so focused on that child in the hospital. It's the siblings who fall through the cracks. Actually, they're called shadow children. And no one thinks about them because mom and dad are so focused on making sure that child in the hospital is doing well, they're making all those decisions. I remember my first week at the Ronald McDonald house. I'll never forget this. Mom and dad and a little boy who was 7 years old was visiting his preemie sister in the hospital. And they were checking out the front desk, and there was a calendar at the front desk. And the little boy, and we circled the calendar, and the little boy says, "Look, Mom and Dad, it's my birthday." And you know that feeling like, oh no, you could hear Mom and Dad go, ah! I turned around, and I was on my way to the bathroom. More information you want to know. And I thought, this cannot happen. And your mom and dad said, "Oh, we have something planned for you." They had nothing planned. They were going to the hospital. They were worried about that preemie baby, making sure that little girl lived. So I called my friend Debbie Kinman Ford. At that time, she was running a day school. I said, "Debbie, you need to make a cake for my little boy at my house. I think he's about 7 or 8 years old. I need party favors. I need some type of noise makers. I need nice plates. I need cards made. Oh my goodness, can you make this happen?" And she's very calm. She goes, "Oh, Sherry, of course. When would you like this?" 4 o'clock today. She goes, "It's 10 o'clock. I know, I need it at 4 o'clock. Let's go, hip hop." So she goes, "Okay." So she has her team make this cake, the teachers, her students, they bring this box, and the box is huge. In it is a cake, party favors, and there's napkins, and there's candles, and noisemakers, and beautiful cups and everything. And at 4 p.m., this family came back, and on our front desk was this big box, all fully wrapped. And the little boy says, "Oh my goodness, I knew you had a surprise for me." And the volunteer at the front desk said, "The birthday fairy was here to wish you a happy birthday."
Wow. That's amazing. We're going to take a break. We're talking with Sherry Houston, CEO of the Ronald McDonald House here in Alachua County, and we're going to dig into some of the great things that are going on and the change of their building and the new house and things that will be happening here at Spurrier's when we come back right after this.
Hi there, this is head ball coach Steve Spurrier, and I'm here with my wife Jerry and our good friend Sherry Houston, the executive director of the Ronald McDonald House Charities of North Central Florida. We're thrilled to announce that the 2-year anniversary of our restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, is coming up on August 14th. Last year we had so much fun celebrating with everybody that we're doing it bigger and better this year. We're hosting a special dinner and celebration that will include a chef's choice of premium buffet or your favorite Spurrier Gridiron Grill menu, including a filet mignon carving station, shrimp and grits, short rib risotto, wonderful seafood options, and many dessert options also.
Like my famous chocolate chip cookies.
Proceeds being donated to the local Ronald McDonald House.
Thrilled to once again partner with Coach Jerry and the Spurrier Gridiron team to raise funds for the Ronald McDonald House, benefiting families and children experiencing medical emergencies.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill will be donating 11% of all of our money from food and 66% of drink sales to the Ronald McDonald House.
Go to Spurriers.com right now and reserve a ticket before they sell out.
We'll have wonderful food, special guests, and a limited edition of the 2nd year anniversary collector's coins, as well as prizes like a dinner with me and Jerry. We couldn't have become one of the busiest and most successful restaurants in the Southeast without your support. So we want to celebrate with the most important people of our team, and that's you.
I want to celebrate with some of those cookies. Do you have any of those?
Sure do. Right here for you.
Oh, thank you.
We still hear it. The sound of victory. The joy of being part of something great. And while things may not be the same right now, we haven't gone anywhere. If you bleed orange and blue, then Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Looking for more reasons to celebrate? We have them here at Celebration Point. Enjoy some of the newest additions to our already celebratory lineup, like Dave & Buster's, Les Macarons, and Prime and Pearl. There's always a reason to celebrate. Join us anytime for any occasion. Celebration Point, where Gators come to celebrate.
Welcome back to MotivationU, the podcast, coming to you live from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill inside the coach's podcast room at beautiful Celebration Point. If you have not been here, you have to get here. I mean, it is absolutely one of the coolest places to come. The food is great. The ambiance is great. The museum is great. You might bump into Coach here. You might bump into somebody that is even more famous than Coach, Freddie Wiebe. Freddie won't appreciate me saying that, but just wonderful, wonderful people. Andrew, who runs the restaurant, does an absolutely fabulous job, and it is just a great place to be. And the growing of Celebration Point, the stores, the places to be, what Svein has done with this complex and developed it is just absolutely incredible, and it's just a great place to be. It's kind of, to me, it's kind of become the hub of Gainesville. You know, it's the place you want to be. If it's Sunday afternoon with a band playing in the band shell, if it's coming to the movies Friday night, Saturday night, having your pre-movie, brunch at dinner at Spurrier's, walking across the street, just a great place to be. I'll stop talking about that. Sherry Houston, CEO of the Ronald McDonald House here in Alachua County. Great news coming up. We have a brand new building, and you move in there when?
We moved families in August 28th.
Wow. When did this project start? What was the reason for it? And tell me about the construction of it.
Wow. So I've been the CEO for the last 9 years. And after my second year in this position, I started to realize that there were more than 50 to 125 families on our wait list. So once again, we are in an indefinite stay house, which means once you get a room, you keep that room until your child is discharged. And we already talked about the longest length of stay was 18 months. So we knew we needed to serve more families. We needed to find the right location and be able to fund it properly. So Brian Nasworth, who happens to be the chair of my board, Brian came in and renovated our front laundry room, our back laundry room, 2 bathrooms, and Brian and I started to talk. And Brian said, you talk about this expansion. He said, but you don't have a plan. I said, no, I have no plan. I just talk a lot. He says, put some plan together. So I put a plan together, and had he not kept my feet directed in a fire, I guarantee you that on the 28th of August, this would never have happened. In the meantime, Brian joined our board. He's now chair of the board. We hired an architect who took a building that was vacant since March of 2020, and we gutted the inside. The nice thing is the building had great bones. It was the Hope Lodge, and they served families who were undergoing cancer treatment. Actually, they served adults. They wouldn't even let children in the building, which I think was very interesting because here we are at the Ronald McDonald House. We only serve children. But each one of the rooms they had is a guest suite, and that's really important. There'll be a sleeping area, but there's also an area for you and your family to sit in. So let's say your mom and dad visit you, and they sleep in the fold-out couch, and you and your child sleep in the bedroom. So much better for your marriage than if your mom and dad were sleeping in a bed right next to you and your spouse, right? I mean, that's just common sense. So we will have 50 guest suites at our new home. We will have 3 kitchens, 1 kitchen for our visiting chef program. We invite families and groups to come in and cook at our house every night. Do we eat dinner every night, Bob?
Yes.
Exactly. Our families need to eat a home-cooked meal every night. So whether you're a gourmet chef or you have a group of people that just want to get together, Spurrier's has actually cooked in our house, which is really cool, and served our families. But when you're cooking in our house, you make our house smell like a home. And there is nothing like a family coming home at 6 o'clock at night and smell the onions and the peppers and the garlic and be able to touch and talk to someone who is not asking them a question about their child in the hospital or making them learn a new technique or some life-saving decision. It is just a human being who meets you on that path and serves you a delicious meal.
That's interesting. So when did they start building? When did you start?
Well, we hired Parrish McCall constructors, and Parrish McCall did all the pre-construction work for us prior to breaking ground, which was on January the 3rd of this year, and we're moving in the end of August. So we have moved at the speed of sound, and we would not have been able to do that without the support of our awesome community. Head ball coach Steve and Mrs. Spurrier are the honorary chairs of our capital campaign. We have raised more than $3.5 million. It wasn't as much as the $4 million that we really needed, so we change ordered out some things that we can come back and do later on. But we will move into a house that is very respectful for all of our families. 3 brand new kitchens, along with 2 hospitality stations that will be able to serve the different wings of the house. We're moving from a 31-bedroom house to 50 guest suites, 22,000 square feet,
That's what I was gonna
to
ask you.
45,000 square feet.
When a family leaves, do they pay for anything, or do some families leave a check on the doorstep or something like that? I mean, what is that process for families when they leave the program?
So every family is asked for a $15 per night room donation, and it truly is a donation. So when our house program team onboards that family, we ask for that donation. If they're unable to make that donation, it's my job as the Chief Development Officer to raise all the program monies. So nothing should come between you and your seriously ill child. And we really are that home away from home for every family. Mm-hmm. Now, to be very clear, we do a criminal background check on each and every family. You're in a group living environment, yes, and not every person is suited for being in a group living environment, given the fact that there's so much stress going on in your life to start with because you have a child in the hospital.
In your world, there's a time process. How about some of the houses that serve emergencies? I mean, how do you put together a quick, background check on a family that?
It doesn't take long to do a background check. Our house programs team can run it very instantaneously.
Get it pretty in-depth.
For us, because we have such a long wait list, we will put that family on the wait list, and then as soon as the room is open, then we will move that family in. So it is unfortunate at our house that sometimes families never get into our house because their child passes, and sometimes their child is discharged before we can get them in our little 31-bedroom house.
So coming up August 14th, there's a fundraiser here at Spurrier's. A lot of things going on that night, 5 to 10 o'clock. I believe all of the money is going towards the Ronald McDonald House. It's the second birthday party of Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, which what a wonderful way. I know I was here last year for the first birthday party. Same process, was donating money to Ronald McDonald House. Tell me about that, what's going on here on August 14th.
Absolutely. Well, let me tell you that we received a check from Spurrier's in the amount of $15,000 for that first year anniversary. And so We're so grateful for our community who wrapped their arms around us last year. So there are still tickets available and seats available, and you can go to the Spurrier's website and put your credit card in, and we receive 66% of all the food, and that's not true, 66% of all the alcohol you drink, 11% of all the food. We'll be selling gift cards for Spurrier's and receive a portion of those proceeds. So, I mean, every little bit really does add up. And to have Coach and Mrs. Spurrier here and some of the former Gators. And
I heard there could be about maybe up to 42 of those.
I know, it's so exciting. But I think it's just a fun way to celebrate an accomplishment of an institution in our community. And we are humbled at the Ronald McDonald House of all the fabulous charities in our community that we were chosen to be the beneficiary of the second year celebration.
And for people that want to come out for that, even if you can't make it and you want to make a donation, I stopped by. I was in town for something else that night, and I had to leave early. I think I was traveling south to see my son in Naples. But one of the things you can do is, buy a gift certificate, $150. You can use it that's what I did. I bought a gift certificate that night, and then almost 6, 7, 8 months down the road, my wife and I came here for dinner, and we used the gift certificate. So if you can't make it that night, you can still donate and help. Where do they go if they can't be here? What is the site they go to make that donation? You
can go to our website, and that's www.rmhcncf.org.
Let's give that again. RMHC.
ncf as in Frank.org.
Okay. And they can just go in and buy
You can make a gift to the Ronald McDonald House.
Okay.
Otherwise, you go to the Spurrier's website and you can buy, reserve your table, and it really is it's just like you're making a reservation at a restaurant. So
Okay.
I believe we're sold out at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, but I think there are reservations still available at 8 and 9, all the way to 10.
And that's a great point too, because I'm one of those, restaurants struggle, moving the people that are eating, they sit around and they chit chat and talk for a long time, and we want you to do that. Yet for that evening, be cognizant of the fact that we're moving people in and out that want to, support the Ronald McDonald House. So they are reservations every hour.
Yes.
They're going to serve you quickly. You're going to get your food, but we want to understand that too. That there are a lot of people that want to help you and the Ronald McDonald House that night.
And it's a buffet, so you get to eat as much as you want. Oh my goodness, the food is fabulous.
Yes.
So this is your chance to try some things at Spurrier's that you may be a little nervous about trying on the menu. Everything is available for you to eat. And then, of course, Mrs. Spurrier's dazzling cookies.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and they really are good.
Yeah, they are. They definitely are. I've experienced them many times, too many times. One of the things you mentioned about the food, about there's something that maybe I think the word you use, afraid to try. It's usually not afraid to try. It is. You find something you really love, and then you buy it all the time. Now, my wife and I go through that. If we go to an Italian restaurant, I can tell you exactly what she's going to order. She never knows what I'm going to order, because I will order something that I've never had before, because that's the way I am. Whereas it's going to be chicken parmesan or eggplant parmesan, minestrone soup, and give me some extra bread. That's my wife's order all the time. I mean, if we're going to Italian restaurant, book it. I have to remember what she ordered when we were in Rome, Italy. But it probably was chicken parmesan.
Well, she knows what she likes. Then you try the different variations.
But so this night, you can go and have a little bit of everything, and maybe you can even shift what your order is next time you come to Spurrier's.
Yes.
So
yes.
Tell me, how many people do you expect to be here that evening?
About 300.
Wow.
Yes.
Is there a goal that you have in mind for what to raise that evening, or
$20,000?
So last year was 15. You're upping that to 20 this year, right? So this is 2 years in a row. What is your relationship with Spurrier's? How did that begin, and what is the cross-pollination between the two organizations?
Well, I'd like to say Freddie is maybe the glue between all of us, and then Coach and Mrs. Spurrier are also the honorary chairs to our capital campaign. Mm-hmm. So they are helping us make room for more families.
So of the 24 people that are on your board, are most of the companies right here in the Alachua County, or does it broaden out at all?
No, mostly in Alachua County.
All right, that's interesting.
But then we have an advisory council. And the advisory council works directly with me, and there's over 80 of those people. And I would call it the breeding ground for our board of directors. So we've moved people, they meet 4 times a year, and so we've moved people who have a real passion for the Ronald McDonald House from our advisory council onto the board of directors, which is really a governance fundraising board.
What a great opportunity for somebody like yourself to be able to be in this role as the CEO of the Ronald McDonald House, interface with 24 great leaders in this community. How have you shifted your leadership style after 9 years of interacting with these incredible leaders? How have you shifted or grown? I shouldn't say shift. How has your leadership style grown from your interaction with other people?
I'm more thoughtful in what I say and do, maybe. I'm still moving at the speed of sound. I'll still talk just as fast as I usually talk. I'll make every decision which is in the best interest of our families. But the people on our board, and I want to call attention to Mike Potapow. So Mike is an owner-operator of McDonald's, and he has been on our board for over 24 years. So I call him Mr. Potapow. So Mr. Potapow has seen the ups and downs in this organization, and being an owner-operator of McDonald's has brought that McDonald's perspective to us to ensure that it's a strong relationship, and has served, he's the only person that has ever served as chair of our board 2 times, once with me and once with one of my predecessors. He's the only person that's ever served as executive director. When they moved along the executive director, he actually sat in the seat of the executive director till they found a new executive director. So to have people like that who have historical perspective, but to also have people who have term limits. So our term limits are 3 years. Then you're evaluated by the nominating committee. If you have fulfilled your responsibilities, you'll be asked to sit for another 3 years, for a total of 6 years. And if you're tapped for leadership, executive leadership in our board, then the term limit is you'll stay until you finish that term.
Is that purely volunteer, their time?
All volunteer. We do not. They do not. Our board does not get paid.
Mm-hmm. It's some boards do.
Some boards do,
So
but
I want to
board
make sure
does
that
not.
people
And-
know that the people that work on this board are totally volunteers.
Oh, and it is a true labor of love. I mean, if you called Brian Asworth right now, the amount of time that he has spent at our new location working with Parrish McCall Constructors and what Quality Plumbing, because he is the CEO and founder of Quality Plumbing,
Yep.
Quality Design Works. Brian has really become our owner's representative. So he is at that job site every single day. The depth and breadth that he has brought in leadership is like no other.
Brian is one of the first people I met when I came to Gainesville as a representative of Dale Carnegie. And the story he told me, and he supported his entire leadership team going through the Dale Carnegie class back in 2010. It was probably at that time that I first met Brian. But he had told me the story about how he got involved in Dale Carnegie and how much it changed his life. And he owed his success to what he learned in the Dale Carnegie class. You probably get to watch him practice what he learned with us. But what a remarkable man. I mean, absolutely love Brian. I haven't spoken to him in years, but you know, when you mention his name, it just puts a smile on my face because he's such a really, really quality plumbing, but he's such a quality human being. And he told me the story about the fact that he was working, I think he was like just out of high school or in high school and he was working for his buddy's dad in the plumbing industry. And the dad offered the son to go to the Dale Carnegie class. He didn't want to do it. Brian said, "I'll do it," you know. And he went through, and he said to me, he said, "Bob, I'd still be driving somebody else's plumbing truck if I would have taken that opportunity to grow like that." And yeah, it's just I'm glad to see him being part of your board now. That's amazing. When you interface with these individuals, and I mean they have such great leadership background, how do they affect your team? How many people do you have on your team? Not the families, the people that actually work for you at the house.
We have a very small but mighty team, and as we are expanding and moving into our new house, we'll be bringing dedicated, passionate team members on. We currently have a CFO, we have a director of development, we have a house director of house programs, we have one executive housekeeper, and then the rest of our team are all part-time people. We are open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We never close.
How do you keep it clean? I mean, do you have like a team of people that come in, or?
We have one fabulous executive housekeeper. Her name is Wandra. She is our longest tenured employee. She was there before I was the executive director or CEO, and she's been with us for over 12 years. And it's a labor of love. And we have groups that come in from our community that will help we call them house helpers, and they'll do deep cleans. Best Restoration will come in and help clean when they have an opportunity. So it really takes a lot of people to make our house a home and make our families feel loved and special.
I mean, think about, you've asked me a couple of times, Bob, do you eat dinner? But think about a house. Now, we have a house with 4 bedrooms, living room. There's 2 of us that live there. Unless one of the kids are coming back in between houses and they're living with us for a few weeks or a couple of months or whatever it is, those things happen, right?
Oh yeah.
You're going to have 50 suites.
I know.
Who does the shopping for food?
Well, breakfast is a grab-and-go breakfast. Lunch is also that grab-and-go. And then people from our community, we are looking forward to having them participate again in what I call the Visiting Chef program, where they bring all the ingredients, they determine their menu, and then serve our families at 6 p.m. at night. And I think what makes that so special is, one, the fact that when you cook in our house, you really do make it home. But the second thing is the interaction with people from our community, with our families, because they make our families feel so special and so normal. I can't tell you the number of times a visiting chef will call me or text me and say, "You didn't tell me that I would leave different and I would be crying." I said, "I'm so sorry, I didn't know that." And when you hear what our families are going through, it's by the grace of God. It's not your child, your grandchild, your niece, or your nephew going through something so tragic. I'll share a story. We had a donor a couple of years ago, husband and wife, and they had teenage children. And the teenagers, of course, were kind of bickering all the time. And I said, "You know what, why don't you come into the house and why don't you just do sweets and treats? Another opportunity to cook in our house." And you can bake brownies, cookies, slice and bake cookies. The slice and bake cookies smell just as good as your grandmother's recipe of Toll House cookies. So I don't really know what they bake. That's not the moral of the story. But mom and dad, the 2 teenage kids came in, and at that time we had a family whose son was in the hospital undergoing experimental treatment for a brain tumor, which was inoperable. And there were 2 other sons in tow, and they were both teenagers. And those teenagers met those young men whose brother was in the hospital, and the one teenager at our house was a football player. He could not play ball in the fall because his brother was in the hospital fighting for his life. And that donor, her son was playing football here in town. So those 2 young men connected. At the end of that time, cooking, I think they baked brownies or something, the donor called me and she said, "My children see life so much differently." And I said, "Why?" And she said, because they realized her son, who was a football player, if his sister was hurt or was in a debilitating accident or undergoing cancer treatment, his life would be turned upside
Totally
down,
change.
just like that young man's in the hospital. And their interaction, the siblings' interaction, changed significantly.
Great story to end the show on. It's wonderful for you to share that. August 14th here at Spurrier's, 5 to 10. Come support the Ronald McDonald House. Sherry Houston, CEO of the Ronald McDonald House here in Alachua County. Thank you for talking leadership and sharing with us the stories of your wonderful facility.
Thank you, Bob.
And this has been Motivation U, the podcast, coming to you live from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. See you next week.